Right on time. Hello, beloved. How are you doing? I am so excited, and I don't know if it'll be at your expense or not, but so emotional tonight. I'm glad that you're here. You know, the more I'm reviewing Black history, connecting it with the works that Christians have done, man, it brings tears to your eyes. This information that's so potent, these treasures. It's like last week I showed you a treasure box. All of this information, it's just so good. I'm just excited. I'm emotional. I'm proud of Black people. Always been proud, but I'm proud. I did my master's thesis on what we talked about last week. There it is. All right, check that battery again. On what we did last week and what we're doing this week and what we're going to do perhaps throughout the month. I did my master's thesis on this Reconstruction, the most prolific period in Black history. We haven't even gotten to the political issue or things, not issue. And I mean, there were thousands, senators, congressmen, state and federal. Just so much information. Tonight, I'm going to be good, though. Tonight, I'm going to be good. I tell you what I'm going to do. Something that, I was actually helping teach a Bible study today. Taught a portion of the study. We got into the area of Black biblical history and thing, and people were just whoa, and some of this stuff has become so common to me that I miss that. I miss that. This is fresh for a lot of people, and I don't realize. Just sometimes I forget. So tonight I'm going to do enough of a recap and reading some of the things that I read last week that I know it'll be a blessing to you to hear it more than once. All right. So anyway, can't you tell I'm excited? Welcome. Hadn't even done the proper welcome. I am your host, Pastor Jackie Jackson. I'm your host. I'm an evangelist. I'm a pastor. I'm a historian. God has blessed me, but it means nothing to me if I can't turn around and on this topic, I don't know everything, but I know some things, and make you the smartest person in the room as it pertains to this. I think you deserve that. I think we all deserve to know, to be proud of who we are, what we are, where we came from. There are many things that are buried in history, and I'm not talking about distant history. Some of it's in recent history. But down here in the man cave, where it is, man, I got it smelling so good down here. I have two of those big scented things, that industrial size thing. I have two of them down here. And I walked down today and it just, man, studio smells so good. I got some other scents, but I don't need anything. And it's just the aroma going along with the way that I'm thinking. Anyway, welcome to the Urban Apologetics channel. We are talking about Black history and working our way through Black History Month. And you are hanging out with the knowledge junkie that's going to give you everything he's got and celebrate who we are, what we've done, what we've already accomplished, and what we can. Okay? Now, I'm just going to do what I did last week. I'm going to say this verbally instead of showing you the slides, which is, if you're watching this on Facebook, please give me lots of likes. Please share the information that you have. If you're watching this on YouTube, share it, like it, subscribe to it. And our numbers are growing. I'm getting excited. You know, just being just blessed by the opportunity to get this information to you and really, really bless you. So thank you so much for everybody that is tuning in and has been tuning in and that's watching this now, that will watch it later. I'm going to continue to do everything I can to be an absolute blessing to you. Now, I've got just one little piece tonight that might be challenging for a child to hear. I'll be as careful as I possibly can because I do want the children watching this. I definitely want them to hear this. They're not going to teach it in school, right? And you know, I said, whoops, sorry, lost my water. I don't mean this in an arrogant sense, but I'm a school teacher. I teach at the university level. I know how to teach. So your kids aren't getting it in one place. I got it. Hang out with me, get your kids. Let's do Black History Month together. I promise you, I'll try to keep it as clean as I possibly can, but I want you to know so that you can share with them. I need to put my foot up, but I'm not going to do that. For those of you that don't know, I had surgery, you know, but I'm hanging tough. I'm doing good. It's getting better every day. I was able to drive my stick, and that went well. But again, this is Black History Month. We're going to work our way through some things. And tonight, we are going to have a discussion. After we do some recapping, we're going to talk about HBCUs. I don't like that because I want you to see it. We'll come back to that in just a second. But I'm a perfectionist, I guess. So we're going to talk about historically Black colleges and universities. And there are a lot of them. And it's when they started and when the first ones were around. That's the piece I want you to get. Reminding you also, Marcus Garvey said, a people without knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. Marcus Garvey is a good person to study. Boy, did he get a bad rap, and there's information that's out there that just is not accurate. Good person to take a look at and learn from. So we've been focused on the Reconstruction era, the things that took place during that period of time. And we have began our discussion with education. And we're going to, like I said, I'm going to do a recap. It's a little bit of extra information here in this section, but for the most part, okay, going to read some things to you. And I'll do some fillers, is what I mean by additional information. All right, so you with me? Ready? Ready to go tonight? Let's get this done. Matter of fact, so I'm looking right at you, kind of. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Freedmen's Bureau. And they're kind of run through tonight's discussion. The Freedmen's Bureau was from 1865 to 1872, and it was responsible for helping some 4 million blacks after slavery ended. Okay, many of them, what were they going to do? They didn't have anywhere to go. They've been living on plantations. What were they going to do? How were they going to be educated? What were the next steps? What I want you to catch, the theme that's going to run through this, we're going to talk about the Freedmen's Bureau, but I want you to see the tenacity, the drive of black people for education and the things they did in a very short period of time after slavery ends. Okay, Emancipation Proclamation, 1863. The war ends, 1865. 1865. Immediately, because Lincoln had already been thinking about programs that would help former slaves. Right? The Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen's Bureau, different, two different names that were used for the same thing. What's going to happen with these people? How are they going to be helped? And of course, Lincoln gets killed before the implementation, but it does get implemented by, the Bureau was headed by Major General Oliver O. Howard. They built medical facilities and distributed over 21 million meals to both blacks and whites that were decimated by the war. And they did all this during the Reconstruction effort. Its greatest accomplishments were in education. More than 1,000, and that number is higher, more than 1,000 black schools were built and over 400,000 spent to establish teacher training institutions. And we're going to talk about that at the normal schools level. And we're going to talk about that in the development of colleges and universities. I'll get to it. Again, we haven't talked on a college level, but we'll get to it. All major black colleges were either founded by or received aid from the Bureau. All right? Powerful are the words of Booker T. Washington, and it's this last sentence that I really want from this, founder of the Tuskegee University, as he expressed the hunger and dedication for learning among the former slaves. Few people who were not right in the midst of the scenes can form an exact idea, this is his quote, of the intense desire which the people of my race showed for education. It was a whole race trying to go to school. Few were too young and none too old to make the attempt to learn. As fast as any kind of teachers could be secured, not only were day schools filled, but night schools as well. People were hungry for knowledge, y'all. The greatest ambition of the older people was to try to learn to read the Bible before they died. They wanted to read scripture for themselves before they died, and the effort was tremendous. People on their lunch hour and other times, read that in just a second. People, the kids would do work during the day and the adults would come home after working in the fields all day and take the same lesson, explore the same lesson that their kids had so they would learn to read. People eventually kept up with politics and things like that because they would go to billiard places, gathering places. And people would just read the newspapers. They were hungry for knowledge. Literacy was truly increasing at a rapid rate because black folks wanted to know how to read. You want to hide something, put it in a book, hide something for black people, put it in a book. There was none of that. There was a hunger, almost a starvation for knowledge. The tenacity of freed blacks to be educated is undeniable. There were white northern teachers that dedicated their lives to the cause of freedmen's education, saying, I think I shall stay here as long as I live and teach this people. I have no love or taste for any other work and am only happy when I'm with them. It became their purpose in life to help educate black children. And you're talking about, and I'm going to talk about organizations in just a second, but you're talking about, Christian organizations sending teachers to the South to teach, and the willingness of people to consume the knowledge. Let me go ahead and put this up now, because I'm going to get to it in just a second. Never has there been, this is my talking in my writing from my research, never has there been a time when blacks worked in tandem, seemingly, that's why I said it's the most prolific period, standout period in black history. Seemingly each person reached back for the next person as their scholastic knowledge increased. Eric Farner describes the aid provided by the Freedmen's Bureau and how in 1868, the state governments provided the majority of the funding for black education. Not what ended up happening with the ghettos, where they decided in 1880, we're going to create these ghettos, and we'll make sure that we redline them so that only black people can live in these particular areas. And we're going to make sure that the infrastructure system, the public school system is not well funded. They don't get the best books. They're behind in everything that we send to them. It wasn't any of that going on. The Christians in the North and those black folks that were educated in the South. As a matter of fact, teachers would it says as soon as they could procure a school that and teachers could be found, they would start a new school. Day schools and night schools were filled. Yeah. That was going on. But another piece that was going on is that people were starting the schools before they even had teachers. People doing the best they could with whatever they had to educate themselves and functioning as one. And no, I got mine, you get yours. When black people talk about, we say this, and I don't like this statement, not that it's not true, but it's like the thing to throw out when we're discussing black issues. We need to come together. Well, the reason, again, I call Reconstruction the most prolific period in black history is because they did it. They showed us what that looked like. And if you study it, if you really study in every area, every aspect of life, Frederick Douglass is my favorite human being that ever lived. Right? Jesus, Frederick Douglass. These people were Christians. I know what churches they went to. Harriet Tubman, Christian. Well, we know that. The Holy Spirit led her and all of that. And she talked about the Spirit of God and how he would, Sojourner Truth. I know what church she went to. These weren't people that were doing, when we try to do things secularly, it doesn't turn out the same because God's hand, he's not breathing on it. But these folks were in God, both white and black, serving together. And that's why we had the progress we had, beloved. Letting God move with his power. Acting like him when it came to our brothers and sisters, that nobody gets left behind. This is real. We need to come together. Yeah, we came together. It happened. And I believe it can happen again. I wouldn't even be doing this if I didn't think that. All right, let me finish this. I just want that to sink in. But the initiative often lay with blacks themselves. Listen. The initiative, the drive to do these things. Urban blacks took immediate steps to set up schools, sometimes holding classes temporarily in abandoned warehouses, billiard rooms, and in New Orleans and Savannah, former slave markets. Isn't that like a punch in the gut to somebody that tried to do them wrong? In rural areas, Freedmen's Bureau's officials repeatedly expressed surprise at discovering classes organized by blacks already meeting in churches and basements and private homes. So before, I just said that a minute ago, before the schools could get set up with an official teacher, I might be an adult that can only take you to the second grade, but we're going to read what we got till we get some more help. We're not going to wait. Sure, there's somebody that can take you all the way to 12. We're hoping that they come on down. But until they come down, we'll keep making the request. But if I could only read at the second grade, third grade level, you're going to get what I got. Because we're going to educate ourselves at whatever level we can. Isn't that awesome? To just know that this is stuff that black folks were doing on a regular basis. Without assistance, blacks erected school buildings and raised the funds to pay qualified teachers. They cared for each other in such a way that even schools that required tuition, poor families could enter at no cost. Why? Because they're going to pool their dollars. Everybody might be having some lack, but they're going to pool their dollars so the kids could go to good schools. Families would allow teachers to live in their homes. I mean, people got paid sometimes in chickens for teaching. But whatever was needed, people were so hungry for education because education, as Malcolm X said, it's our passport to the future for tomorrow. Frederick Douglass. For tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. Education's your passport. Knowledge. Becoming the smartest person in the room in an area that maybe God is sending you, and not just being able to read, but if he's got a specific lane for you. I was saying today, and no arrogance connected to it. When I say something out of my mouth, you can believe that I've got somewhere between 5 and 10 scholarly reviewed sources to back up what I'm saying, or I'm not going to say it. I've studied 6 hours to make sure one sentence was accurate. Not about me, but wanting to have enough excellence that I can properly serve my people, that when I say something is true, I've got to at least myself believe it and know enough about it to hold on to that. To trust that whatever I tell you is right. And all we need to do is just for the adults. All we need to do is do the same thing. You don't have to know about everything. Ask me a math question. I guarantee you we now have a problem. Not my lane. I know enough to get by. My wife says I understand algebra, but whatever, you got to explain that to me. But about this, about us, I got this. And I want you to, that's why I'm doing it. I want you to be the smartest person in the room. The topic comes up about accomplishments of black folks, or if somebody starts saying the reason black on black crime is da-da-da-da, which is not as high as white on white crime, by the way. I can prove it. Statistics, research that's been, I can prove it. Not going to change the topic. The point is that if that comes up in a conversation, somebody's on a stage or a platform, I see it on TikTok all the time. They say something like that. Don't let me be in the room, because I can prove it with the same little twisted statistics that they sometimes throw out, because they know nobody else in the room knows. But I don't want to be in that room and I don't know, because that's my opportunity for my people and to change the minds of white people, which are all still my people, but people that look like me to have a real understanding instead of walking away with something that's not true. There is not more crime committed by black people than white. It's not. It's not. The sheer numbers don't even matter. Now, if we're looking at percentages, yeah, we can get into that. And I can tell you how that was developed and got that way. If we're looking at per capita kind of stuff. But these people wanted to learn and were willing to do whatever it took. Now, the last two pictures down there at the bottom are talking about normal schools. That's a picture, again, of Southern Normal School, which is in Bruton, Alabama, where my parents grew up. My aunt was the cook for this school. She lives just a few doors down, all walking distance, from the school. What's important here to grasp is that normal schools were all over the South. These teachers that I'm talking about are coming into territories where slavery had been, and they're now free. This is all in the South, where schools are being built, where this is right where people have been oppressed. They were pulling themselves up by their own bootstraps. Well, and we should be proud of that. Now, here's the only thing that I said I was going to talk about. But even with what I'm about to share with you, and this is fresh, we didn't talk about this last week, but even what I'm about to share with you, there's a sense of pride in this. See, there were schools that jealous folks, because as I stated last week, black schools in the South were better than white schools. We don't worry about no integration. It's beautiful that schools are integrated. I don't want anybody to hear this later and twist my words, and because that's what folks are waiting for somebody to become militant. I'm a Christian. But schools, because of jealousy, and a lot of those people, and I write about it in my master's thesis. It's a book that's going to be coming out, so you'll be able to see all the things I'm not mentioning. But anyway, the idea is that there was a group of white kids and adults, but mainly I'm talking about the kids, that didn't want to learn. They didn't want to go to school. But they were jealous that the black kids were getting ahead of them. There were also adults that participated in this, and some schools got burnt down. The part of pride for me is, you know what they did? You know what the black response was? They rebuilt the school. They rebuilt the school. Let me be gentle with this last piece before we move on. There could be a group of kids walking on the road to go to school. And sometimes it was 5 miles. I mean, you've heard parents say that kind of stuff, right? Some of that's not inaccurate. And things would happen. Sometimes, just on different levels. Let's leave it at that. And you know what kids did the next day? Maybe not those kids, because they couldn't do that anymore, if you understand what I'm saying. They got on the same road and they walked to school. The hunger to learn was greater than the fear others tried to project on them. We may never know their names, but I want you to hear out of my mouth, I'm proud of each and every one of them, and I'm telling you their stories tonight. They are not forgotten. Just like the people that would walk 40 miles to cast their vote. People would walk, and the only way to get across to the other side to go vote, you talk about voter suppression, the ferry would be broken or gone. And you know what they would do? It's just one vote. But because the 15th Amendment, February 3rd, 1870, was in force, they would walk miles and miles and miles around rivers so they could cast that vote they had a right to cast. Okay, stand in line. You want to say I can't have water? That's fine. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to vote anyway. I don't care what tricks you try to pull. Do you hear what I'm saying? All right, let's watch this video. And it's very short. It's about the Freedmen's Bureau. It kind of reinforces some of the things that I said, and we will talk on the other
The
side.
Freedmen's Bureau was established near the end of the American Civil War to help formerly enslaved people transition from slavery to citizenship, providing food, housing, education, and medical care. Crucial records in the Freedmen's Bureau include labor contracts, rations, apprenticeships, letters, marriage records, local censuses, and narrative reports. These records provide incredible information that can help descendants of previously enslaved people in the United States make additional discoveries about their families by offering a path to trace ancestors prior to 1870. For many freedmen and women, these records were the first time they were listed by name in official documents. You can read firsthand accounts of living and learning conditions, letters of separated family members looking to reunite, and petitions for help establishing new schools, improving living conditions, and protection from violence.
People were finding their family members. The Freedmen's Bureau was funding education at the primary school and college and university level. Freedmen's Bureau, 1865, the same year the war ended, established to promote literacy for freed slaves, provide legal counsel so they could find their families and bring them back together. That's what Henry Louis Gates, part of what he was talking about, so they could be reunited with their families after they'd been torn apart, separated by slavery. They were figuring out a way to win with the hand that had been dealt them. So let's take this a little bit further, right? In this era that we're talking about, and now let's move into a conversation, segue into a conversation about HBCUs. First thing I want you to see is that the church was involved. Some people, they ask, where is the church? Well, I can tell you where it was. Both white churches and black churches very much involved in Reconstruction and the uplifting of former slaves. In 1890, they had to give historical black colleges and universities, had to give them land. May not have wanted to, but we were fighting and negotiating and not fighting physically, but finding ways to make sure that black folks could have a say in their futures. All right, I'm going to do some more reading. I wanted to put this up. Freedmen's Bureau, we've been talking about how they helped with HBCUs, and now I'm going to actually read something to you that explains some of this. We're going to talk about the benevolent empire. We're going to talk about the church's involvement in bringing about change. Regardless of the challenges facing the Freedmen's Bureau, their program to educate freemen in the South moved forward. The organization was successful in recruiting both black and white teachers, mostly from the North. Many of the educators that signed on were descendants of what was dubbed as the Benevolent Empire around the turn of the 19th century. So right around the first of the 19th century, there was the Benevolent Empire. Now, some of the names were in a slide I showed you a couple seconds ago. Picture showed you a few just a little bit ago. But I want to read off a list of names so that you understand. You can hear the word Bible and church and all of that kind of stuff right in the title so that you understand that these are Christians acting like Christians, wanting things to be fair, wanting things to be godly, both black and white. Acting like God, not with this, some of this stuff we have now with those that call themselves believers, which is turning off a lot of black young people. If that's what it is, I don't want that. I'll go with the group that might even be another faith, but at least they're not going to treat me like that. They're going to tell me I'm somebody. Well, I'm telling you that you are somebody in Christ, and that there are people that are in Christ that acted like him. And the reason that you see black colleges and universities, the reason that you see these HBCUs is because there were Christians acting like Christians. Vast numbers of organizations representing a variety of causes were birthed during this time period, such as the American Education Society, American Bible Society, American Sunday School Union, American Home Mission Society, American Temperance Society, American Peace Society, American Tract Society, tracts what Christians pass out, and the American Anti-Slavery Society, which was possibly the most successful movement within the benevolent empire. They were giving money, both white and black, but many of these, truth be told, were black organizations. I mean, white organizations, not headed by, the universities weren't going to be headed by white people, but they were willing to give the money, give the resources. You know, they already were sending teachers to say they were willing to do that because they were acting like Jesus. I wrote, the influence of Christianity is very clear in the titles of most of these organizations. It is important to note that the indelible influence of the Christian faith, even prior to exploring in greater detail in another chapter that I wrote, when a person became a Christian during this period, it was customary for that individual to become involved in some area of disinterested benevolence. Disinterested benevolence is very simple. It means that you weren't going to benefit in any way from the service that you were given. So you became a Christian, and it was culturally expected, in a sense, that you would find something you could do to serve society. And what greater cause was there than these former slaves, these refugees that needed food, housing, clothing, education? And what's important is this wasn't a welfare system. They took full advantage of it and started pulling themselves up in the area of education, in the area of politics, in the area of housing. They started doing it on their own. Now, something happened, but I told you in this series, we're not dealing with that. I'm dealing with the fact that there were great things that were happening where they were taking advantage of the leg up that they got in certain situations. Sometimes it was their own legs giving the leg up. Nobody left behind, all the other stuff that I read, but they were taking advantage of it and moving forward. And that progress made people want to give even more. And black folks were constantly reaching back, going into teaching and training, going into the normal schools. You know, many of the black teachers, they were from the South themselves. They were former slaves themselves, but they're reaching back. Their hunger for education, you know, they dove in. Some of them were educated quickly because they wanted it so bad, and they went right back into their own communities and pulled these people up. But it was a concerted, beautiful effort. Disinterested benevolence had to do with becoming involved in some area of society, so social reform that would not directly benefit the individual. Freedmen's Bureau would experience much success in recruiting for these kinds of organizations. Just an absolute blessing. All right, a little bit more here. I'm going to now deal with some of the history that you need to hear. The first HBCU, Cheney University, was established in Philadelphia in 1837. The very first one was established in Philadelphia in 1837. All right? Now that's in the north, where it's all good. Okay? But we need these HBCUs in the South, right? Where the people, for lack of a better way of expressing it, need it most. So the first HBCU in the South is Shaw University. If you can see what I'm looking at, what year is that on there? On the picture on the right with all the words. What year is that? 1865 is the first historically black university? Isn't that the same year the war ended? Oh man, black folks weren't playing, y'all. Listen. I don't want you to take this wrong, but are you getting this? Beloved, are you getting this? The war has just ended. Reconstruction is happening. The South is being restored. That's what reconstruct means. It had been torn down in a variety of ways, and black folks have their first university? I was thinking when I was doing this, man, I should have a jaw-dropping picture for you for this. I should have a jaw-dropping picture for you for this. Here. Let me do this. Here's one for you. There you go. Now, I'm going to give you a list of other people, both past and present, that went to and graduated from HBCUs. I've got a cousin that currently is in Fisk. Very proud of her. I have another young man who is family by another mother that I'm getting ready to send some more money to. I sent some money to him in September. I figured whatever he got for the holidays or whatever has ran out, and so Pastor Jackie's going to send him some more cash. But we have people that we admire that benefited from these early schools, and like Booker T. Washington started his own university. Ida B. Wells using her education to write and explain different things that were happening to blacks. I won't go into any more detail than that. Much to be proud of. Now, what I want to get out of this is Howard University is developed. It's founded when? 1867, 2 years after the Civil War. Now, something that you may not know, that colleges and universities across the globe, when they were created, were religious schools. And I mean the Christian ones were Christian schools. But one of the pieces that I want you to get is there were two primary things that were important in society then: to be a teacher and to be a preacher. Both kind of intertwining with each other. I told you, when we get ready to do politics, I'm going to show you that. I can't remember if it was 95 or 98. I'll be clear by the time I get ready to share it with you officially. But somewhere, in the high 90s, mid to high 90s, percentage of people that went into politics weren't just Christians, but pastors. Isn't that something? And so these schools, to make sure that these men were prepared, these schools were catering to those two fields. Let's get as many teachers as we can. Let's get as many ministers as we can getting out and helping our people. Just an absolute blessing. And there's so much more. Oh, before I forget, because I'm closing this out. We're going to keep having discussions. There are different universities and colleges, HBCUs that deserve a little, the story behind their development. We're going to spend some time in that and enjoy, I love storytelling. We're going to do some of that. But I just need to let you know, I'm getting ready to go and lecture in Chicago in a week. So a week from today. And so, I my plan is to load something up at the same time I would be coming on live. Just so that you know that. And so I may not be live, but you'll still be able to, get your next piece in Black History Month. Okay? And we're going to continue next week. Both days we'll be dealing from the Reconstruction era in the area of the HBCUs. Okay? Love you guys so much. I hope you're getting it. I hope you're blessed by this. I just can't wait sometimes to get to you, to get this information to you, to make you the smartest person in the room, to educate you. And I always encourage you, verify the things that you're hearing me say. Okay? That's my message for tonight. May the Lord bless you. I'm Pastor Jackie Jackson.